quick. What's up, everybody? Shawn here with another Live to Roll. This week, we're continuing our spinal cord injury awareness month topics, and we're going to be doing some spasm talk. And then we're also talking about the baclofen pump stuff like that. So we'll get into some quick intros. I'm Shawn, a C5C6 quad from a snowboarding accident. 17, actually, January will be 18 years for me already. Tom, you want to?
What's up, everybody? I'm Tom Conaway, C5, C6 quad from an automobile accident 24 years ago. And I just want to, quickly say, super sorry for missing the show last week. I missed you guys. I was getting surgery on Wednesday and dealing with some not so awesome body stuff. And I mostly just want to apologize to Shawn. I bailed on the show super last minute last week. And just want to say, I love you guys. I'm sorry about that. Won't happen again, barring serious stuff going on. But enough with that. Let's toss it over to our guest today, Mr. Zack Collie. Thank you so much for joining us again, dude.
Yeah, dude, it's good to be back. What's up, everyone? If you don't know who I am, my name is Zack. I'm a C4 incomplete quadriplegic. I broke my neck in 2010 diving into a wave at the beach, and I hit a sandbar. So it's been about 11 years for me. But happy to be here.
And yo,
Yeah,
we
Zach.
got to quickly shout out, not to take away from that awesome intro, bro. Thank you. But our boy Ben is in the chat, just dropping super chats like
Yeah,
crazy, dude. So
Ben's usually there in the lives, and he's been gone for the last few weeks. He hasn't been here, so I guess he's showing his love for missing a few weeks.
Hey,
We
yo, Ben,
appreciate you, Ben.
I'm not kidding, man. Can you slide in my DM and like give me your phone number, bro, so we can, talk in person and set something up? Because I want to, say what up to you, man. But I
What's up?
don't have your info. And yeah, dude, we really appreciate the super chats and really happy you could catch the show this week. But yeah, we're talking about baclofen pumps and spasms and also baclofen pumps. But
Yeah.
Zack is the specialist on some of this stuff today, having recently gone through getting a baclofen pump. Is that right?
Yeah, I've had it for a little over 2 months now.
Okay,
Going on
cool.
2 months.
And I know we got our boy Peter in the chat who's here with us every week. He's got a baclofen pump as well, so that's cool
Yeah, he
that we
said he'll
can,
chime in and give some of his input.
definitely have some different input
So
in regards to that. But where do you want to start, Shawn?
let's just start with some just basic spasm stuff, and then we'll get into the pump and stuff like that after. So we can kind of all go through and talk about like if we have spasms and like how bad they are and stuff. Because I know everybody's kind of a little bit different. We all have different things that affect and stuff. So I personally have fairly bad spasms. I used to take baclofen, but came off of it for a study, and now I just stretch and use cannabis smoke pretty much for my medication. But my spasms are like very sensory. I'm sensitive to any sort of touch reaction. I don't know about you guys. And if I sit for very long periods of time, my spasms build like crazy. So like those are just things I try to stretch and move to try to avoid, them building up too much.
Yeah.
What about you, Tom? I know you. Well, we'll let Zach go last, because I know he's got really bad spasms. Tom, you want to
Well, I
talk?
just did want to like touch quickly on like what muscle spasms are for if anybody is
That's
listening
a,
that might not be super familiar. They're basically like what they sound like. It's spasticity in your muscles. But for spinal cord injured individuals, it's basically a result of errant electrical signals running through our central nervous system, causing our muscles to expand and contract. They don't have the communication with our brain after injury. So any kind of errant signals that are running around our body um, will usually result in spastic expanding and contracting rather than, motor function use that we expect because we don't have any communication or control over it. It's just kind of like what Shawn said. Stretching and moving helps. Moving your muscles, whatever, signals kind of get. I think of it as signals. It literally is electrical
no, it is.
charges in your
Yeah.
body floating around, but it's just not signals from your brain. They're just like random errant signals running around. It can usually be triggered by touch, sensation, temperature change is a really big trigger.
Oh
Movement,
yeah.
and then discomfort below your level of injury is probably my biggest trigger. If I have any kind of discomfort, if I'm sitting funny, if I'm sitting on a wrinkle, if I got a full bladder, if I got any kind of pain, if I'm sitting too close to my desk and my desk is pushing in my shin, like I'll start to feel like these spasms, and it's my body telling me like, hey, there's a pain response going on down here. Um, you need to figure out whatever this shit is real quick. Um, and I'm really super grateful for that. It's a way our body communicates to us after injury. The only negative can sometimes be is spasms can be gnarly and super crazy, and like some can last very long. Some people can have last like hours, up to an hour, hours. They just don't go away. Like Shawn, he gets them so bad they'll flip him in his chair.
I've,
That they might have gotten that bad too. Like I was transferred the other night. It's gotten better since I got my surgery. I got this gosh darn bladder stone out, but I spazzed so bad, my butt kicked forward, and I was like sliding forward out of my wheelchair. Like I thought I was gonna end up on the ground. Thankfully, I was able to save it and scoot my butt back, but that can be the danger of them, and they can be a huge discomfort and inconvenience. But there can also be some positives, and I want to let Zach talk before we go into the positive benefits of spasms later in the show. But we will get to that as well. But Zach, talk to us about your experience with spasms, bud.
Yeah, man. Hey, that was a great like definition of spasms.
yeah,
Like whenever
Tom's
I try to
smart.
explain a spasm to like an able-bodied person, I'm just like, imagine a cramp but with no pain. At least for me, I'm just like cramp with no pain. That's what a spasm is. Like it's my muscle contracting, going crazy. I have no control over it, but it doesn't hurt me.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I've been injured for 11 years since 2010, and pretty much since I can remember, I've had body spasms. I remember being in rehab and like talking to like the doctor about it, and they were like, "Yeah, those should subside or calm down in like 6 months or whatever." And mine never did, and they got more intense. And so, um, it's hard because on one hand, spasms, at least for me, like I feel like they've kept a lot of muscles in my body from atrophying because I still have pretty big legs and like a lot of my spasms are in my legs. Um, but I feel like they even though I can't control it, it's still my muscles working.
Yeah.
So I've always like kind of had that in the back of my head. I've never wanted to like kill my spasms, but I've been taking oral baclofen probably for like 10 years on a pretty decent dosage. I'd take 40 milligrams in the morning when I got up and 40 before bed. But after a few years, I think it worked pretty good in the beginning. But since I can remember, going on 5 years, I felt like I was just taking the medication just because my body was addicted to it. I would take it in the morning and I would feel no difference in my body spasms. Um, my spasms are so intense where I would literally use motorcycle tie downs at night to hold my legs down. I have two tie downs on each side of my bed hooked, and then they hook in the middle over my legs, and I would cinch them down over right above my kneecap, right where it would start to bend. I couldn't even let if it was too high up on my thigh, I would kick through the tie downs. Like they were so strong that they would slowly loosen the tie downs overnight, and I'd have a huge one and I'd break through it. So I had to put them right behind my kneecap, right where the bend would start. So as soon as it would start to kick up, it would just be prevented. I've
Right.
done that like
First
8.
thought, fire safety, bro. Gonna have to freaking, unwinch you and
Yeah,
unhitch you out of the
yeah.
bed if something happens, dog. And dude, pressure sores. How did you not get hardcore pressure sores from being
I put
strapped
padding over it.
down?
Yeah, so I wouldn't put the
Okay.
tie directly
Still,
on my knee.
dog.
I'd put like I usually like roll up like sweatpants or like a towel and put them over my knees and then the tie downs over it. But even we were just talking about traveling before we went live, and like when I
Yeah.
would try, I'd have to bring freaking tie downs with me. Then I'd be like in a hotel room where the bed I have in my room has like hooks on the side, so I could easily hook the tie downs there. But sometimes beds don't even have that, and I'm
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna
crap,
ask you in the hotel. Yeah,
right?
that's a lot.
I was gonna
Um,
say, the maid walks in and sees the tie downs and be like, "Damn, these people have just
like
put
what's going on
wild
in
stuff
here?
in here."
Something freaky going down.
I did
But
something similar, not as extreme with the tie downs, but my parents used to like get like a big beach towel and like wrap it around my leg and tie it in a knot like around my knees, and it would just keep them straight and like my legs, like I call it the frogman position, like they like
Yeah.
bend up and like shoot back towards me when I lay down at night. And I was always worried about contractions and um like just them, I wanted them to be straight, so we would do like the tie with the towel, and that was always loose enough. If my legs did spaz, I could break free from it. But it generally did work to keep my legs in place. But I don't do any of that stuff now. They just kind of frog it out if they want to.
Yeah. No, I remember probably like 2 or 3 years after my accident, I was just home and chilling and in my manual chair, and I spasmed, and I had like my feet kicked out, both legs kicked out, started shaking, and then one kicked up to the right and like pulled me over like to the side, and I just fell out of my chair. Like it happened like so fast, and I didn't even know what was happening, and like I'm upside down on the floor out of my chair, and like that was like the first time I fell out of my chair because of a spasm, and ever since then, I wear a seatbelt because my spasms were so gnarly that I needed to have something to keep me in my chair. Like I would also wear a strap around my ankles that would hold my ankles together, but also go around this metal bar attached to my chair. So anytime my legs wanted to kick out, it would prevent them from kicking out. Because once my legs kicked out and started going, it was game over. Like the spasm would go up through my body into my lap. Anything on my lap would end up on the ground. The spasms would go up into my upper body, into my arms, and my whole body would just be like earthquaking. Like it was just
Yeah,
crazy.
I've heard of the.
Uh,
I mean, I've seen the ankle strap like in front of the ankles a lot of times to keep them from going out. The thing that I have done is if they angle the foot plates up just like 10 or 15 degrees, and like you kind of dip the ankle a little bit, like
yeah.
the leg, it's not able to like spasm out. It kind of kicks down, at least mine
Mhm.
does. And it will spasm, but kind of more into the foot plate rather than straight out, because if they do escape the foot plate, it can be kind of
Yeah.
game over, because like I'll start to spaz like crazy
Yeah.
if they
Yeah.
get some freedom.
Yeah, I have the same issue with once they get out forward, they really just want, once one goes off, the other one will also immediately want to follow.
Follow.
And
Yeah.
mine want to do like a running motion. Like once one kicks out, the other one comes back, and then they switch, and one kicks out and the other one comes up. Like they're a pain in the ass. But I never had straps that would keep them in. I'd kick through any Velcro or anything they ever tried to strap my legs in with. And then I just started getting to the point where I liked having them loose, because then I can reposition them myself. Like every once in a while, I'll just sit there and like move my leg over, or I'll even take my foot off the foot plate and let it kick out when I have a second, let some of the spasms run out a little bit, and then put them back on the plate, let them settle, and that kind of will give me a little bit of a window to where they're like more mellow for a while. But
Yeah.
like Tom said, I've had issues. Twice I've gotten a crazy body spasm that pulled me up and over to the side, and I grabbed my wheel to hold on. And I have emotion wheels. These wheels are 23 pounds a piece. I lifted up sideways and I flipped over on the side. Like, so I pulled that 23-pound wheel off the ground and went sideways over at, it was in the Casa Colina cafeteria when we were after a support group, like a little bit before COVID. So
Hey,
that
at
was
least you're
crazy.
at a decent
People,
place. Yeah.
exactly. People were everywhere, and they picked me up really fast and got me back in the chair. And then I had to switch chairs, which I've mentioned on the channel before. I'm back in my older chair because my new chair, I get pretty violent like body spasms that send me back. Like they extend my hips want to come up, my back wants to go back. And that's why I keep wheelie bars on my chair. I keep the tip bars because I don't want to flip. But my new chair wasn't stopping me. The tip bars weren't keeping me from flipping. So I flipped over a few different times. 3 times I went over the wheelie bars and hit. And one of the times I hit a filing cabinet and then came forward and hit my face on my knee and had a big lump on my forehead. So like at that one, I was just kind of done with the chair and figured I'm just gonna go back to my old chair until I can get something safer. And yeah, but like, so I definitely get some pretty violent body spasms if I don't keep them under control for the day.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but for me, like cold weather makes them even worse.
Oh
I think
yeah.
that's also why, we were talking about how much we all love summer with the warm weather. Like when it's cold out, I get even more stiff and my spasms are even more intense and sensitive. I feel like the tension building up in my legs and I'm like, okay, I'm about to have a spasm. But if I feel that and like I would go outside and like the wind chill would hit my leg, like
Oh
that would trigger the spasm.
I
yeah. No, for sure.
I feel the exact same way, like you described it so perfectly. Like it's like they build up. Like I always feel like it's kind of like my legs are like storing up energy because they're freaking paralyzed and they can't, right? And then like I'll move and do something, and it'll be like the trigger that'll like release all the energy, right? And they'll just go crazy for a few minutes and shake it all out, and then they'll just be like back to chilling and resting. Um, and yeah, it's like super super like hard for me during the winter. My spasms are a lot worse, but my body's just also constantly kind of tensed up. And I feel like the more tensed I am and like kind of sitting still, or like kind of squeezing in, like it'll make my spasms worse versus like if I'm just relaxed and chilling and moving my body a lot. Um, so yeah, no, dude, like very similar experience. I did want to touch on something in the chat or a couple things in the chat if that's okay.
Yep.
Um, Eli asked if 13 hours sitting down is okay. I mean, if you're in a chair, bro, you sit down most of the day, and that's about 13 hours. So I would say
You
it's
just
okay.
Make sure you have a good cushion.
I was gonna say, yeah,
Make,
that's exactly what I
make
was gonna
sure
say.
you have
Make
a
sure
good
you're on a good
cushion.
cushion, and if you're in a power chair, you can do, some back power or pressure reliefs, or if you're in a manual, hopefully you can lift or just do some sort of pressure relief.
And yeah, just because you're sitting doesn't mean you can't be moving. You got to be doing your pressure reliefs, and I mean, seriously, once an hour, you got to like wiggle your butt around, or lift it off for at least a few seconds to, let the blood flow and let things move. And yeah, it's I I'm a pretty bad advocate for being out of your chair because I'm in my chair like 16 to 20 hours a day usually. Um, so I'm in this sucker a lot, but I'm also moving a lot. And sometimes, like in the middle of the day, I'll hop out of my bed for a little while, move my legs around, stretch and stuff, and that'll help.
See, for me personally, that's why I like to, like I'll eat lunch and dinner usually, in my couch. Like I like to transfer out of my chair because for, one in the couch, it's a little bit more relaxed position. It helps with my blood pressure when I'm eating. And then also it's just that change of position, that change of seating, it really just helps like your body stay loose and plus, yeah, it relieves the pressure. I
I
don't know.
have
For
yet
me,
to meet a
transferring out of the chair
longer,
helps.
I have
What's
yet to meet a longer term quad that like doesn't. I didn't mean to start talking over you, man. My
You're good.
mic like cut out for a sec. Um, I have yet to meet a longer term quad that doesn't like doesn't find it necessary to get out of their chair like at least for like an hour during the day. I mean, the days that I do it, I feel marginally better than the days that I don't, and I don't know what it is. It's just like we need more serious pressure relief, like more serious movement in our body. Um, I mean, I used to like back, when I was like in my early college years. God, I sound like an old man. Um, I would do like 2 days in my chair. I would wake up on Friday, go to school all day, go stay at my buddy's, party all night, sleep in my chair for a couple hours, go home,
Man,
do my care, get back in my chair, and then just go all day in my chair again. Um,
That's
and
pretty
like
hardcore.
not get out, but I can't do that anymore. Like that will hurt my body to a degree that I cannot accept. Like it's way, way, way too hard. So I don't know, like you can definitely push yourself and like live your life, do your thing, but be mindful. Like that's not healthy and that's not good for you. And a lot of that I do my pressure reliefs like religiously. I'm moving my butt all the time because I can. I'm in a power chair, that helps me do so. And it's important. It's important for your circulation. It's
And
important for more than
especially if
just
you don't have very good sensation, like I can kind of like, I don't have sensation, but my back and butt and stuff start to hurt when I was like, I get burning and like, like I have some sensation that tells me like, dude, it's time to get out of the chair, like get moved, do something. But if you don't have stuff like that, you have to be even more careful because you don't know if, you might like be getting a pressure sore, you might have something building, like if your body's not signaling at all. So be careful, check yourself, do the pressure reliefs.
Yeah, I always have my caregiver, whenever they're here, check out, like, I roll over, do the booty check is what I call it. Just make sure, that coccyx area, that tailbone area specifically, it's just a real danger zone for pressure sores. And I mean, I'll be recovering from a little one on the back of my heel, from a, bad pair of shoes that I was, trying to rock for a minute, stuff like that. But it's just this is like SCI 101, pressure relief, no matter para, quad, it don't matter. And quads it's harder because generally we don't have the upper body strength to like fully lift our body up and relieve our pressure. But that's when power chairs come in. And Shawn can even attest, not using a power chair, use your tools to your advantage. You can pressure relief and manual chair by leaning and moving and just using physics to your advantage. But you got to find a way to, because it's super super important.
Yeah, 100%. So let's get into some of like, because spasms can actually help your circulation. And
Before we
we
get
were
into the
talking.
benefits, can we ask Zach about, like, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Why did you go from oral baclofen to a baclofen pump? And what's been your
Yeah,
experience been after? And then we'll talk about, kind of the
Yeah.
the
intricacies.
benefits. And
That's cool. Yeah.
I would say there's like two main things that kind of made me decide to do the pump. One was because I wanted to drive. I got a good, I don't know, opportunity or help through an organization called Department of Rehab, and they helped me basically get a car that's adaptable and get hand controls to drive so I could be independent. Um, but the whole time in the back of my head, I'm like, this is amazing, but I don't feel safe enough, to be driving with the type of spasms I potentially can have. They don't happen all the time, but I'm like, what's going to happen when I'm driving and I have a huge spasm and I can't slow down, or if I accidentally like speed up and crash and kill myself or hurt someone else. So that was a huge deciding factor. That's pretty much the main reason why I got the pump, is because I want to drive. And then the other reason was just I've been dealing with these for a decade, and I was just tired of it. The only thing that worked, I've tried all different types of oral muscle relaxer medication up until the ones that they're like, these are strong, but you got to 6 months so we can check your liver. And I'm like, well, I don't even want to take that. If it's going to damage my, like, it's not even worth that. So with that being said, literally the only thing that worked was cannabis. That was a huge factor for me, where it was a night and day difference. After I smoked, I could just feel the tension in my body leave, and I feel like I would have like fire and ants in my legs and feet, at the end of the day, just because my body's so stiff and like my feet are swollen, and I just get this pain and discomfort. And smoking not only helped with the spasms, but also like the discomfort and pain.
Yeah.
So I was smoking all the time just to help with that. But basically after almost a decade of doing that, I'm kind of getting a little bit over it. I'm going to school now, doing my master's program. I'm going to start working soon. I can't be smoking all the time. So
Oh yeah, you can.
like, I don't know what else to do. I'm like, the oral medication doesn't work. Smoking's great, but I don't like doing it in the morning. I like to do it like in the evening to relax.
Yeah, me too.
At the same time, it was the only thing that would give me relief. And then with the pump, more later, but it's an invasive surgery, so it's a thing they put inside your body, and then it connects to your spinal cord, which is like even more creepy.
Yeah.
So I put it off for many years because I'm like, I don't want that. No way. What if I like feel it? What if it completely takes away my spasms? I don't want to have like a limp body.
Yeah.
What if I feel like the puncture in my spine? So I had all these like questions and like worries and stuff, and I had talked to people who had it, and they were like, it's a lot. I'd say 90% of the people who had pumps said it was life changing for the positive way. And so after a while, I'm just like, what, I need to do something different. So I'm just gonna go through with it, and I did the trial. So before you even can get the pump, you have to do a trial, which is where they'll give you an epidural in your spine of the liquid baclofen, and just see how your body reacts to it. So after I did that, they assessed me. They said I would be a good candidate for the pump. And after that, I set my date. And I'm like, let's just do this.
Hey, didn't I have a question? Because I remember seeing something on your social media. Didn't you have a couple complications with that trial when you did the trial, like
Yeah, I
some issue
had
pain, like a migraine,
one
or
of the side effects can be a CSF leak, which is a
The
CS.
cerebral spinal fluid.
Yeah. So that was basically what happens is like when they punctured my spine with the epidural, it started leaking spinal fluid into my body. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a professional, but it's basically spinal fluid is like in your head, and your brain kind of floats in it. And so for me, when it was leaking, like I was getting the worst headaches of my life. I couldn't even sit up. If I sat up, I'd throw up instantly. And basically, they were saying like your brain is like sagging in your head because there's not enough fluid to keep it afloat. And so I had to go. I ended up calling 911 and I had the ambulance come pick me up because for like 2 days I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't eat anything. I was dehydrated. I couldn't keep anything down, and I had to go twice. The first time I just showed up there and they gave me like medication, and they're like, "All right, lay down for like two more days, and eventually the leak will stop." But a day later, it was still worse, and I eventually called 911. I had an ambulance come pick me up. I did that specifically because they would take me straight to like the emergency room, and I'd be able to see a doctor right away, versus just showing up at an ER and having to wait, an hour or 5 hours to see a
yeah,
doctor. Because I couldn't even sit up without throwing up. And then they did what's called a blood patch, where they took blood from my body and then injected it into my spine, and then the blood kind of goes down through my spine and clogs the hole that was leaking, and that was instant relief.
So the what you're talking about is common for like any kind of spinal surgery, and there's this thing. It's called your blood-brain barrier, and it's where your blood can't pass through into this area, and it's like the cerebral spinal fluid and stuff, and like the fluid that our brains floating around in. It's all contained within this like sac of nerves that like goes down the column of our spine and connects to our brainstem. And that's why stem cells are really hard to get into the spinal cord to treat, is because they have to pass this thing called the blood-brain barrier, and it's not as simple as just like sticking something, injecting stem cells in, and stuff. But now they have unique ways of using stem cells, spinning them in a centrifuge, getting them to the state where they can easily pass that barrier. But what happened to you is when they did the epidural in your spine, the puncture, the into like the sac that holds all the nerves was a little bit too big, and that fluid started to leak into your bloodstream. And the only reason I know that it causes migraines and really like shitty body feelings is Steve Kerr, the coach of the Warriors, had back surgery and had the same thing, but he had like fluid leaking for like 2 years, chronic migraines, chronic,
oh my
like
god,
terrible feelings, like constantly for a long time. And I just heard him talk about it, so I like, this is just a bunch of pseudoscience over here from my part. I don't know the details of why it does what. I just know some of the general information about it. But yeah, that's gnarly, man.
Yeah, it was it's just sucked. That's all I can say. And so after that, I'm like, great. What if this happens again? After I get my pump, and I'm like, I do not want to have to deal with that at all. But thankfully, I went to a doctor who's literally done like a few thousand pumps. He said, and he's actually, I went to a Chalk hospital. So I was 15 when I broke my neck, so I ended up at Chalk. But then once you become an adult, you don't go to Chalk anymore.
What's
But
chalk?
Chalk it's a children's hospital.
Oh,
Chalk
y'all,
Hospital.
Children's Hospital Oakland, they helped me recover initially for
Yeah.
my injury. So big shout out
So
to children's hospitals. They're awesome.
so I was able to go back there and see this specific doctor who has just done like thousands of pumps, and I wanted to go to someone who knew what they were doing. So it was hard to get him approved, but I eventually did. Um, and he did. He asked me about it the next day or something. He's like, "How's your headaches?" And I was like, "You know what? Like I haven't had any." And so I don't know what he did, but he did something different. I don't know if it was a placement or how far he put the needle in. I don't even know. Like, I just know that the pump has a catheter connected to it and it goes around my side and connects to my spine somehow. After I got the Baclofen pump, I didn't have any headaches at all. So that was really nice.
Um, yeah, so just to kind of give some people an idea, and Peter said it best in the chat. If you're taking oral baclofen, he said that's like a BB gun versus like the baclofen pump is like a grenade, meaning like the drugs are directly delivered to the spine where it's causing all these errant signals and baclofen is a neuroinhibitor. So when you're taking it orally, it has a difficulty getting to your spine and getting to the right place to these little receptors to lock in and block the signals from happening. But the baclofen takes it straight to the source. So you only need a microdose of the drug to have the same effect versus taking it orally, because a lot of the oral drug is like dissipated in your system and doesn't actually get to where it needs to go to do what it needs to do. But the baclofen pump solves that and delivers it straight to the source of the problem. You only need a tiny amount of the drug in that instance to have like a much like more significant effect. And that's been your experience, right, Zach?
Yeah, so no, you said a great point. So when I was taking the pills, I was on milligrams, and then with the pump, I'm on micrograms. So I'm taking way less than I was taking orally, and it's doing way more than the oral ever did. So I'm on a super tiny amount, and it's way stronger because, like Tom said, the medicine goes exactly where it needs to go, and it's I don't take oral baclofen anymore, and then I go in every 3 to 4 months to get it refilled. So I haven't even had it refilled yet.
Crazy.
What does the refilling take? Do they have to? Is there any? Can they do that? There's no surgery or anything, right? It's just like they
No
just.
surgery, so I haven't done it yet, so I don't exactly know. But basically,
Okay.
the pump's placed right underneath the skin of my stomach, and it protrudes a little bit. But every time I go in, they put this like little monitor over the pump, and they can program it through like this little like iPad looking thing. So, when winter comes and I want to up my dosage, I just go there and they'll put this little scanner over it, and then they can up it just through this programming thing. Or if it's too much, they can wean it down. So what I'm guessing is how they do it is in the center of the pump there's a tiny hole, so they'll have to like stick a needle in it, and they suck out all the old medicine because they don't want it to stay in there, and then they'll inject it and fill it up with fresh new liquid baclofen. But I don't know really any more than that. I'm planning on actually documenting that process because, like I said, I haven't even got it refilled yet. But I do know I think they do it through like a needle, which I'm nervous about because like I have feeling and stuff, and I don't know how that's gonna go. But like
Dude, I'm like getting like
it's
nervous
right,
for you, bro.
yeah,
Ugh.
it's right underneath the skin of my stomach, so it's not like they're gonna have to be going super deep, but the puncture through the skin I'll feel, and then it's gonna go in the pump. I think suck it
Yeah.
out. Like I don't know. I'm gonna document it when I
Let's
do it.
not
Pete-
highlight Peter's comment because I don't want to scare Zach anymore.
Peter said that it's a 12 gauge needle. I don't know how big
Was that?
that is. I don't know how big a 12 gauge
Maybe
needle
don't
is.
Google it. All right.
Don't Google
I'm like
it.
nervous for you, bro.
I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna like go in to get it filled. I'm just gonna pass out in my chair.
No, bro. I
Pe-
would, man.
Peter
Ugh.
also says that he has his maxed. They have it like all the way up, so he has to fill his every 4 months because it's
Yeah.
at like
So
max dose.
I'm on such a low dosage. They said that the medicine will go bad before I actually run out.
Wow, crazy.
Which and so another crazy thing is too. So they told me and they showed me. I don't have to deal with this because I won't ever really run out. I'll have to go in before it runs out. But the pump will start making a beeping noise when it gets low, letting you know, hey, you got like about a week left of
Do you
medicine,
hear it?
and you need to go. So it'll beep from inside your stomach.
So Pete, let's ask Peter. because his pump runs out, I think. Do you get the beeping, Peter? I'm curious about that.
And there's another beeping because you have to get it replaced like every 5 years because
Really?
it will eventually just it's a battery life. I'm pretty sure. So you do have to go in and
Makes
get a
sense.
surgery every like 5 years to put a new
Yeah.
pump in.
That makes sense, yeah, because the battery obviously is not going to last forever. But how when
I
you did the surgery, was it an overnight stay or was it an outpatient surgery or
There's
how
so
long?
I stayed one night.
One night.
They did
Okay,
surgery one day, um, and then I just stayed overnight and I left the next day.
that's not too bad. That's not too bad.
That's not bad. Part of me like I kind of low key missed like my nurse button in the hospital and just like ordering my food whenever I wanted. So it was nice to stay, just one night, just to make sure there was no complications. They kept me hydrated. I was on like medication. Um, Made sure so they did an incision in the front for the pump, and they had to roll me over and do a small incision on my back right next to my spine where they connected the catheter. So I had two incisions. They wanted to make sure the one on my back was good, because I'm laying down constantly and then I'm in a chair. So my
Yeah.
back always has like pressure against it, which can cause problems with healing. And so my back one, the incision on my front of my stomach healed before my back one fully healed. So they just want to make sure there was no infection and stuff. And after a day, I went home, and it was crazy. The first week was difficult because the muscles around my pump were like super sore. Like anytime I moved, I could feel like not really the pump, but it was the sore muscles around it. And my legs were dead for the first week. Like I was like, oh my gosh, this is way too intense. Um, but I think it was because my body just went through a surgery, so it was like a kind of a traumatic experience for my body. And after I healed, and about a week or two, everything I started getting spasms back, which was good because I was worried that like I said, I didn't want like a limp body and have my muscles atrophy super quick. I still wanted some spasms, um,
Yeah.
but after about a week, 2 weeks, everything started coming back to normal, and I noticed the significance of what this pump is doing, and ever since I have my pump, I haven't had to tie my legs down once.
That's awesome, man. So I'm sure
Yeah,
sleeping is so much nicer now. Like you're probably way
yeah.
more comfortable at
Just
night
seeing
and
my
just
legs lay there, I have my whole like, so I put a towel between my legs, I put a pillow next to my left leg, and I put padding over my knees, and then I freaking tie them down with tie downs. So that was like a little mini procedure process every night in itself. And so that got it completely eliminated. So now I just get tossed in bed, you know, wipe myself down, roll over, wipe my back, and throw a sheet over me and my leg bag on, and I'm done.
yeah.
nice, man.
Uh, I can imagine that's a lot simpler and a lot easier. Peter said he got his and went back to Jefferson Barracks 3 hours later. Peter, you're made of different stuff, bro. Oral baclofen didn't work for you from the start, dog. I mean, you're maxed out on the pump. Like, you didn't
And
take no
he
recovery
also
time.
said, yes, it does
You're
alarm.
just,
You can hear it.
Yeah.
uh,
So
you're just,
Peter,
you're just a different stock, my dude. But that's cool, man. And we really appreciate your input.
that
And
was
man, you just are
yeah.
a
So
tough dude.
I don't mean to cut you off, Tom, but Peter also
Thank
mentioned
you.
something. So that was another fear I had because I honestly I never had met someone with another spinal cord injury who had spasms as bad as mine. So I was a little nervous getting the pump, that even the pump, wouldn't be enough, or I would be on its max dosage. Um, and so thankfully I'm on a low dosage and it does more than what I need and stuff. But another one of my fears was like, if I have this pump in my stomach, and I move around, or like I have to lean forward to do a pressure relief, like am I gonna feel it digging into like my stomach or my organs, or like even like my hip bone right below my waist. And thankfully I haven't had that issue. But Tom said something about he knew someone, that the pump flipped inside their stomach, because I was
Yeah, I
asking the
saw
doctor
that
about
right now.
like, what are things that I should like look out for or be careful of or worry about. He didn't say I would have to worry about that, but he said people who like gain a lot of weight, they have a lot more room in their stomach, and the pump can actually flip inside. So
Oh,
that's kind
wow.
Harley,
Well,
but
Peter just said that he's had another vet that flipped his pump.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's it.
that I read that. That's what made me think of. The
Yeah.
doctor did say, that can happen, but they said specifically with me and like my body, they're like
Yeah, you're a
you
little
should.
thinner. You shouldn't. Yeah, hopefully that's not an issue.
Crazy.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
it,
that's pretty.
um,
Um,
what were
I
you
was gonna
gonna
say,
say?
Tom, you got a question, Tom. Um, uh, what was you say?
How is everything going
Mason was
after the
asked.
bladder stone
Yeah,
removal?
Mason was asking
Mason,
about how your bladder
my dude,
removal.
thanks for checking in on me, bro. I really appreciate it. It was successful. It went good. Honestly, it was kind of a trip. Like I wasn't thinking I was gonna need to get freaking full blown surgery for this, but sure enough, man, OR, breathing tube, the whole freaking deal. Um, you know, so it was a little scary. It was the first surgery I've gotten in like 15 years. So I was a little nervous about it. Um, but my mama cruised with me, which was cool. Um, it was an outpatient thing. I was out for about an hour during the surgery, but they were able to successfully remove the stone. They were able to get access to my urethra. I haven't had any leaking or anything afterwards, which was kind of the primary concern, which is good. But he did tear up my urethra a little bit. There's like bleeding from that. The following days, just noticed like some sensitivity moving around and transferring, but that's almost all completely subsided. The bleeding stopped completely, and the feeling in my bladder is night and day. My dude, like, oh my god, like no dysreflexia. I mean, I was getting dysreflexic every day. I wake up in the morning just in a puddle of water, just full on dysreflexic every morning. Like, it's just, it's been months and months of that. So it's really been like flip the script. Feeling a ton better physically. Um, Not gonna lie, feeling a little off like mentally the last couple of days, just a little down and funky for whatever reason. But I'm working on flipping that around too. So I appreciate the appreciate the well wishes and the inquiries, my man. Hope you're doing good too, bro.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thanks everybody too for checking in on all
And
of
yeah,
us.
big shout out to Dr. Osborne. I had like
Oh
a
yeah,
pretty terrible experience with this guy initially. Like he didn't really give me any time of day to explain that I even really needed surgery and stuff. He was like, "Yeah, we'll just go and remove the stone." He was like, "Contact our surgery coordinator." I'm like, oh, "Okay." You know, what is that? What the f does that mean? But and I was just kind of nervous. Like I was like, "Yo, have you done this on a quad before? Like, what are the risks? Like everything." But the guy, like he came to me before the surgery. He said he like contacted like multiple other, like surgeons who do this regularly on quads, and like talked to a bunch of people, and seemed to really do his homework and his due diligence. So I just want to reiterate, like I feel like I wouldn't have had that or had that peace of mind if I didn't advocate for myself and make sure I asked the questions. And, like I called the doctor back and was like, bro, you need to talk to me. Like, we got to have a little meeting before, like, can you explain to me what you're going to do, what the risks are and stuff? But it's really this current healthcare system is kind of wild. And I know that kind of seems like that should be the standard experience, but I just haven't found that to be my case recently. So I just really want to make sure everybody advocate for yourself in regards to this stuff. Make sure you're asking the questions and inquiring because it's their job to make you feel good. But they were awesome. Holy Cross Hospital and yeah, Dr. Osborne and the whole team, they were dope. So it was cool. Feeling a lot better.
nice man. We are glad to hear that. Glad to have Tom back.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll get back to 100% soon.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. I mean, I feel like I am mostly back. I'm going out tonight for like the first time since like I've been pretty much home, like having a really hard time going out doing my normal thing. So I'm definitely cruising out tonight, feeling good, ready to take on the world. But a big part of what was, ailing me was my spasms. The discomfort in my bladder was just causing gnarly spasms that were constant and super hard spasms. Like, I mean, my legs would just kick like they never kicked before. Now, I always use these things as kind of like an indicator. They were my best friend in terms of telling me when my bladder wasn't happy, if I was starting to get like an early infection, I need to up my fluid intake, or just if my bladder was full, I would get some spasms and start to feel my bladder spasm and stuff. And I'd always looked at them as like this positive thing that would just communicate to me, what was going on with my body, at least in regards to my bladder and stuff. Now that's the danger with this stuff is the minute I started having really serious discomfort, the warning signs went from warning signs to like full on like dysreflexia, 200 over 120, feeling like I'm gonna stroke out, like I need to go to the ER, like this second, like massive headaches, like crazy stuff. Like the warning signs went from, like good signals, good warning, that I appreciated to like, hey man, like something's wrong. Now we're gonna freaking, try to kill you. That's what it felt like. It felt like my body was kind of like attacking me, by telling me that something was wrong. And I just couldn't get it treated, quick enough. It took, a while to get in to see the doctors and get, the answers and the information that I needed. But I wasn't really ever set up on baclofen. I did get some baclofen early on when I had the discomfort. I was having such extreme spasms, but um, I didn't have any on hand, and I did get oral baclofen, which similar to Peter. I mean, I'm on a pretty low dose, but it just doesn't seem to have much effect on me. And I'm kind of hesitant to up it because I do use my spasms to talk to me all the time, to tell me when I need to do my pressure reliefs, to help me with my pressure reliefs and my, circulation, like that expanding and contracting of your muscles. I mean, forget about tone and like how they look, but just simple circulation of your blood. Is, I think, very beneficial. Keeping your spasms because it's just your muscles, you know, acting. Do you
So,
guys have any other benefits for your spasms, positives that they brought to your life?
Oh,
go for it, Zach.
do you want to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. So yeah, I I use a lot of my spasms to my benefit. Like at night, I could initiate a spasms that would kick both my legs up, and then like my caregivers or parents could like cross my legs really quick, and then I would kind of be sitting like a figure four style in bed. I love doing that at night. Just like Indian style. But then
Yeah.
that was also a good way for them to help roll me, because like I'm dead weight, and I'm like 165 pounds, 6 feet of dead weight. So sometimes it's hard for them to roll me, and they're getting older. So when they would roll me, when my legs would be crossed, it's a lot easier.
Yep.
When I do PT, I could stand, and I would use my spasms to like shoot me up, and I would be able my knee able to bear the weight. So I would be able to use my spasms to stand, and that was a worry of mine. Like, what if I got my pump and I could no longer stand anymore? Um, but I use my spasms a lot. Advantage. I can make my hand spasm close so I could pick things up on my own. And unfortunately now, like it's harder. Like when I go to like
That's
try to
that's
pick
what I wanted
something
to
up,
ask you.
you know, I'll push into my head really hard like this, and then it makes my hand close, and I have to do it really quick and like go to grab the thing I want to grab, and I notice like it'll relax quicker than it normally would. So like I could feed myself with any type of metal utensil before my pump, and I could just make my hand squeeze and I could feed myself. Now it's a lot harder. I kind of use like plastic utensils now because they're lighter. So
Hmm.
there's a few things I've had to like modify. Obviously, when you do something like this, there's going to be pros and cons. But for the most part, the pump has truly been life changing. And 80% of like all the negative worry and anxiety that I had before getting the pump turned out not even to be true. So thankfully, I can still use my spasms, to help do things. Um, I would be able to like spasm and push my elbows into my chair, and it would lift my butt up. Like I could do my own pressure relief. Or if my butt
That's
was
cool.
slouching, I could lean forward and do that, and my butt would slide back. I can't really do that a whole lot anymore. Um, but at least like my spasms aren't like pulling me down my chair and stuff like that. So there's been pros and cons, but for the most part, it's changed my life for the better.
Well, that's super
Yeah.
awesome to hear. Yeah, it's one of the things we want to talk about is like what advice would you give to someone thinking about getting one of these? Um, like what is your advice in that situation? Outside of talk to individuals who have it.
Yeah. You know, my advice would just be like if this is something you're considering, do your research, um, and find a surgeon that has done these before. Um, I think part of the reason why my experience has been so positive was because I did go to a doctor who knew what he was doing, um, and I had a good recovery. I didn't have any complications. I had pretty much questioned every single person who had a pump, um, and just their experience on it before I got it, and I just came to the conclusion that it is a risk, but 90% of the people that I talked to said that it changed their life for the better, and that they wish they would have done it sooner, which I can totally understand now. Now that having this for 2 months, man, I would have done this 5 years ago if I knew what it would have done now. But that fear kind of held me back a little bit. But
Yeah.
it is a big life change procedure. So I think timing was such a big thing for me. Even though I
And
waited so long, the timing was right.
one of the things that I've always found kind of interesting about it
That's
is, it requires maintenance regularly afterwards to, get filled up. And also, like you said, 5 years, you got to get it changed. So all that stuff is just stuff you have to think about and consider, unfortunately, because, it is going to affect your future and, your care and, hospital visits and doctor's visits and stuff. So, make sure to just definitely think about all aspects of it and do your due diligence just with everything, right? You just got to do your research and make sure you talk to people and ask the questions to gain the confidence, and find out if it's the right thing. But that's why we're doing the show and talking about it, talking about with people have gotten it done. um I think
I do want to.
spasms are great. Go ahead.
Oh, I did. I just want to say one more thing. If there's anyone here that is thinking about the pump or anything, I made a YouTube video on my kind of my procedure and the process of what I went through. So I know Shawn has a link. See, at the end, we
yep.
could put it in the chat, just for people to see, because I know that would have been awesome for me to be able to watch before I got my procedure and stuff. So
Yeah, I have
that was
both in the description. If people want to click right now too, it's I have both of your videos, the pump and then the after video, like when you did the like how it's
Peter
going or whatever.
Peter just said in the chat,
Well,
once you get the pump, you can never have an MRI scan ever again. The pumps is incompatible. So that's something to think about. And we did
yeah.
just have a quick question. I play rugby. Where do you put the pump? Will it interfere with the strap I use in the rugby chair? It's under your skin, right?
I had the same thought because
Or is it
the
something you wear?
what?
I thought it was completely under your skin, or is it something you wear on the outside?
No, the pump's completely under your
Uh,
skin.
it's under the skin, but see, he's worried
Where does
because that's what I was thinking too. If it's on your stomach area right here, in rugby we use like a weight belt right over your stomach because like without trunk you need something to support yourself when you're trying to lean and push. So it's what keeps you up. And for me, it puts a lot of pressure on my stomach and stuff. Like I can feel like
is
it
it
for
kind of like a
sure.
binder?
It's a binder, yeah, but it's like,
Basically, yeah.
but and like the thing is, like it's a binder that's fairly tight when you just normally, but like for me and for like most of us, when we go to push, here, I'll do like, oh, that's actually even worse. We like push like I push really into it, like I lean, like I send my body weight into it and let the belt bounce me back. So like I would be worried. Like that's a lot of pressure, just like over and over. Like every push would be just
Your
like,
stuff might get flipped real quick, bro.
look,
Yeah.
I'm really skinny, so maybe there's not enough room. I would hope. I don't know, but
That's a good question and a good concern. That would be something I would maybe talk to like a doctor about.
yeah, it
For
might be a.
me, so like I haven't rolled on my left side all the way, and I was nervous because I like to roll on my side, certain nights and just air out my back because my back is against a wheelchair all day. And I was like, well, if I get a like whatever side I get it on, am I never going to be able to roll on that side again? Because I don't want to like lay on the pump. But the pump's like it's more so kind of like in the front next to my belly button, like to the
Okay.
left of it, so I can still roll on that side, just not all the way over. And sometimes I'll push on it myself, and just to see like if it moves around, but it
Yeah,
doesn't really do that. However, regarding like if I were to wear like a brace over my stomach and be moving around and pushing, yeah, that's something I don't know if it would, interfere with the pump or cause discomfort or anything.
Peter said
Uh,
that they stitched his pump to a rib, and you can break the stitch, then your pump gets a little sideways.
yeah, that
Ooh.
sounds. Do you know if they
Bruh,
did anything like that for you, Zach? Did they? I don't
that
know.
Well,
sounds
they
kind of
didn't tell
crazy.
me. They didn't tell me if they did that, but uh, yeah, I mean that makes sense. So it would just stay in a place. Um, no, they never told me about stitching anything, but it
Huh.
doesn't move around or anything.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
And
that's cool. That.
one thing I didn't mean to cut you off if I did there. Just one thing I did want to talk about and mention is alternatives to baclofen. What can you do
Oh
to
yeah,
help manage your spasms without having to get surgery or even, rely on like over the counter medication? Stretching is your number one.
Yep.
Shawn can attest to that. He's like the most well stretched homie I know because you get up and you do it religiously every day.
I do. Yeah.
um,
I stretch an hour every morning before I get out of bed, before I start getting dressed, or before
but
my
that's
bowels
how
work, whatever.
that's how important it is for you, right? Like how big a difference it
It
makes. Like,
for me, I feel like it really helps me. Like if I don't do as much of a stretch, like I can get away with lowering the spasms a little bit, and like it'll help. But I'll feel it when I'm in the chair. Like I'll feel like they're just a little bit tighter, a little bit like stronger. And we mentioned a couple times tone. I have a lot of tone. My body is just constantly like tight. And tone means the muscle is just like kind of just firing, but not like it's not kicking anywhere. It's just tight. Like it's just holding position, like and using energy, and like being a pain in the ass.
yeah.
You have any more to add on that, Tom? You're our technical expert.
well, I have really good tone too. That's because I let my spasms happen. Zach said like you have pretty good tone too because of the spasms that you've had, and it's just your muscles like literally keeping some of the definition. Don't count on much strength, but it just like that cellular innervation, that expanding and contracting keeps the atrophying from happening. Which when you kind of get the hollow muscle look, that's for longer term pairs and quads, that's what's happening is you're losing tone from your muscles atrophying from the lack of cellular innervation. But the cells getting signals and firing. um, that's the stuff you it's good for you, and that's why spasms can be really beneficial for you, especially you know spinal cord injuries are chronic, lifelong, long term. You want to keep as much physical function as you have, and as errant and random as it might be, spasms are physical function that are, your muscles are engaging in some way, shape, and form, and it's better than not engaging at all. And because that's other issues, and it can be pain and neuropathy in different ways. Like muscle atrophy is no joke, especially. Uh, this is something like weird for me to think about because I've been paralyzed for 24 years, and I think I probably will be for the rest of my life. But with stuff like stem cells and the rate of like walking quads that go through this trauma and walk out of the hospital, like it is it is now more days I think more important to maintain your muscles and maintain your body, and it's always better to kind of keep things the way they are, versus letting them change drastically and get different. So I am a big fan of spasms. Now, one way, and Ben, just said it. Uh, Ricky said it. A couple other people said it. Shawn mentioned it. Everybody who watches this show knows regularly. Shawn and I are big advocates of cannabis. Zach talked about how he used it for a long time as well. The thing about cannabis, though, is it's not really generally for most people something you can do the start of the day and maintain all day. If you
Or
would just
like people like Peter are in the VA and can't because
and
they're gonna
exactly,
get stuff like that.
and we love our vets. We love the federal government. The Veteran Affairs Program and everything that they do. I do think it's a shame that marijuana is federally illegal, considering how legal it is in most states, and how beneficial it can be in moderate usage. And I'm not talking like I don't, get up and start chiefing like at the beginning of the morning and smoke all day long to mitigate my spasms. Like I spaz in the morning and I spaz all day, and, like while I'm doing my thing and living my life and get what I need to do done. And then when I'm at home, my day is done in the evening, late afternoon. I'm relaxing. I'm ready to calm my body down. I pop my shoes off, like I get in some comfy clothes or whatever it is, and yeah, smoke a little bit of weed, take a low dose edible, and it's the same thing as baclofen. It's a neuroinhibitor. The tetrahydrochlorides, the THCA, the cannabidiols that enter your system literally go and lock into those receptors that, get those errant signals just like the baclofen does. And, you know, it blocks, it inhibits those receptors from receiving those signals that are generally the more uncomfortable ones. My spasms don't go away when I smoke weed, but they're a lot less intense. And so it's kind of a way to balance it. And that's really what it's all about, is finding a balance, a healthy balance. Not when, you're smoking so much, you're zonked out all the time and you can't function, but also not so you're so spazzy and your body's so out of whack that you can't function. It's about finding a balance. And cannabis is definitely not a solution for everybody. And that's, where baclofen and gabapentin and other neuroinhibitors come into play. But especially in states where it's legal, and especially now with all the tinctures and low dose edibles that are, you know, measured and figured out in laboratories and stuff, can be incredibly beneficial to some individuals who are looking for relief. So big advocate to cannabis, and how it affects and assists in muscle spasticity, because I have found that is the biggest effect. For me, is like cannabis. If I'm having bad spasms, nothing can as quickly, you know,
Yeah.
mitigate those
Give you
symptoms,
relief.
mitigate those spasms, give me that relief, and then taking a hit. Um, and I'm not even talking, sitting there smoking out of a bong. I mean, just using a vaporizer,
Hey,
low
what's wrong with the bong,
temperature
bro? I
flower
love my
vape,
bong.
and exactly like that'll work. Um, but it's just one of those things. It's not available to everybody, considering the situation. Considering your medical group, if you are involved with the VA and they assist with your care, but it's definitely an option if you're in a state where it's available.
Yeah,
So
and
I'd say
I'm the
consider
same
it.
way. Like, I feel like you have to find that balance. I don't like to wake up and smoke and stuff. That's why I do that stretching in the morning. I'll stretch my body. That gets me through enough of the day to where, like, later, once my spasms are building and stuff, I could take a little hit and then, like, mellow them out. And then by the evening, they're building again. I can start smoking and really relax for bed. And then I do the edibles for sleep too, because the edibles will control my spasms through the night. They'll actually keep my body totally chilled out for hours longer than I do if I smoke. So that's like how I've found the balance.
Lol,
But
Dr. Tom, the cannibologist.
yeah, that's all.
I am not an expert, and please feel free to fact check me. One of the things that I just really like to highlight is the actual science behind this stuff, and why it's similar to baclofen, and why it's similar to some of the other stuff that we so quickly and kind of without thinking take from a doctor. The only reason I do like to highlight the science of it a little bit is because it's important. It's important to know, just as much as the science behind medicine that you're taking, because it is, the medicinal use is what we're looking at. Um, and what strains would we recommend for pain and sleep? Any indica is probably the best for pain and sleep. Sleep
That's
indica will knock you out. If you're looking for pain
yeah.
management during the day or muscle spasticity management during the day, I definitely recommend trying to stick with sativa, or just pure CBD.
I,
You can still get a lot of the same effects from pure CBD, which have no psychoactive element, or sativa is just more. It's a more of a clear-headed high. You a lot more. You can be a lot more functional. It's not gonna like make you want to lay down on your couch and fall asleep, or with a bag of chips. Um, it can make you do that, but again, this is like all about the dosage too.
And
You
another
know, you
thing
can.
too is edibles also like during the day for me personally don't give me very much of like a like head high, take me out of it, but they really do relax my body. Like they can really like ease that tension. Like it's not as much as that instant like if I take a big hit like and then just like that instant relief that like runs through your body, but it's definitely enough to mellow it through the day. Like when I'm out for a long period of day and know I'm not gonna be able to smoke and gonna just be in my chair a lot, I'll try to do like a smaller edible, and that'll just kind of keep my body a little more mellowed out. But I was just gonna ask Zach too, just on the baclofen pump and stuff. So you did say that you it affected some of the beneficial spasms, but you still can trigger some of those, right? Like you're like the one that when you're in bed to kick your legs up and stuff like that. Because that's where I'm like worried is stuff because I use my spasms a lot. Like at night, that's how I turn myself. I can trigger that spasm. They kick to my knees, and then when I'm in that ball, it's easy to roll. I can roll myself. Like I can grab my bar and I hold my knees with the other arm and just like can flop from one side to the other wherever I'm going. So without that, I would be screwed. Like personally, and like the cannabis still allows me to do that. So like that would be one of my worries with like a baclofen pump taking too much away.
Yeah, definitely. So, like in the morning when I wake up, and just from my legs being straightened out all night, like they want to kick up, but they won't unless I kind of like initiate it, kick up. Um, but like at night, like if with my pump, and then if I smoke, I cannot kick my legs up. They're like
Okay,
they
that's
feel
what I
so
was.
heavy. Um, but yeah, so that's the thing. Like now, I don't need to like smoke as much, or even as often. But if I do smoke, yeah, my spasms are pretty. They go away for a while. But you did touch on an important topic, and I think Peter did too. So I didn't really know. Like I'd always heard the difference between like spasms and tone, but like up until I got my pump, I was like, okay, like whatever. And after I got my pump, and my legs wouldn't kick out, I get this feeling in them like I wanted to kick them out, and it would bother me, and so I realized, oh my gosh, this is like the tone in my muscle, even though I can't kick them out, like they're still causing me this, and
Yeah.
that's one thing I have noticed since getting the pump. But smoking helps with that. Like at the end of the day, when I like have all this tone in my body, I also get like swelling in my feet. This isn't related to the pump, but I've noticed this over the past few years. Like my feet have always gotten swollen throughout the day just because we don't have blood flow. But like these past few years, they'll swell and start to like actually cause me discomfort. Where like I'm always thinking, and it's super annoying. So when I do smoke, like those feelings of discomfort just completely vanish. So I'm trying to figure out a way to like relieve that discomfort um, in other ways, but so far I really haven't found a way. I just wanted to talk about the difference between spasm and tone because those are really two different things. Said, tone is pain, and in a way,
Hmm.
yeah, I'd say it's more discomfort for me, but it'll distract me if I'm like trying to like do something important or like ass and my feet are bothering me. Like I can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if
so
anyone else
that's
can really.
no, that's for sure. Cause and like so, I think it's probably good that you still have a little bit of tone because that's probably helps your circulation and stuff. It keeps your muscles just a little more blood flow down there. But no, it's a pain in the ass because it just keeps them in that constant like it makes them heavy. It's kind of what like I don't know. That's one way I can explain like it makes them heavy to move. Like they're
Yeah,
just like they're not kicking, but they're just like like they're just like weighted. I don't know. It's hard. It's weird. That's what
it's hard
mine
to
feel like
explain.
at least.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like uh,
but in those moments, I'm like, I want to kick them out and have them spasm and shake,
yeah. And
but
so
I
it
can't.
won't do that anymore.
Yeah,
That's
Compression socks
interesting.
can help with the swelling. Yeah, that's what I've always found. Anytime I'm in bed, like more than usual, that's when I start to get a little swelling in my feet. Is when I get just a little bit more sedimentary, and I think the spasms definitely help. It's all about circulation. It's just moving the
yeah,
fluid in your body. That's the water can just kind of settle at your feet because of how we're are moving enough. But some people be moving all the time and struggle with that more chronically. And in that case, compression socks, compression socks, compression socks, compression socks.
Yeah.
Keep
I
them squeezed
did
tight.
also see it sells these things. I haven't got one yet because they're like 200 $250, but it's like a personal portable foot massager thing. Like you put your feet into, and it will massage your feet. Um, I'm 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 doing some research right now. I want to get one
And that
because
probably increases your
it sounds so
circulation
nice.
through.
Yeah, it sounds so nice coming home at the end of a day, get my shoes off, sticking my feet in this thing that would just like massage my feet and kind of push the blood back up.
And I did want to just shout out, like, me and Shawn being the resident stoners. I'm not a big fan of edibles. I don't really do edibles. I'm with Chevy, dude. Edibles either don't work for me at all or they work too good. And I'm sitting there like, bro, I don't want to be this high. Like, this is too, this is too much. So I have like experimented with some stuff from the dispensaries because they do have some like really like low dose, like very measured stuff nowadays. Rather than just grabbing a cookie, not really knowing the dosage, and getting too zonked out. So I have experimented a little bit, but I almost never use edibles. So I just did want to shout out what like Chevy's experience with it. I think edibles can be really great for individuals that don't like to smoke. But for me, especially using a vaporizer, like a flower vape, I can just really modulate like how high I want to get. I can get the effects that I want. I don't have to get like too zoned or zonked out, smoking some like really heavy stuff or too much of it to get the medical effect. So I'm a big proponent of vaporizing. It's also healthier for your lungs. And yeah, dude, this was really awesome information, you guys. Zach, I just want to say thank you so much for all the info in regards to the Baclofen pump. We did want to talk about all aspects of this, considering a lot of people can't smoke or use cannabis to manage it. But that's why we got baclofen and baclofen pumps and lots of other options. But really look at your situation, um, see what's best for you, and talk to some people about it. Um, and just a quick shout out. Just want to say what up to our boy John in the chat. Want to say hey to Olivia. What's up, Olivia? Ben and Peter, Morgan. What's up, Morgan? Mikey, Mike,
Yeah.
Chevy, everybody, Ricky, Life on
Oops.
Wheels. We really, really appreciate you guys commenting in the chat, taking some time to hang out with us and provide a ton of awesome information yourselves. We really, really appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys all in the chat. Appreciate you all
And Ken
questions,
at the end. What
everything.
up, Ken?
Yeah, Ken. I hung out with Ken this weekend in Vegas playing rugby a little
Heck
bit. We
yeah.
didn't get to hang out that much, but next time. And
And
then real quick, I wanted to shout out. Ben asked if we have any new sweaters coming out this winter, and yes, I am going to be ordering sweaters soon. I'm just trying to sell some women's shirts right now that I just got, so we're getting pictures and be posting those soon. So any women out there, I need to make some money so I can order hats, hoodies, and sweat and beanies. But
so
they're
we'll
coming,
work on
Ben.
rotating that stock and yeah, get some sweaters soon.
Yeah, but thank you guys all for joining. We appreciate you all. Any questions and stuff, and you can hit us up. Make sure to follow Zach on Instagram. Follow his YouTube. The links are all down below in the description.
And yeah,
And
give Shawn a follow, give Live to Roll a follow on Instagram
Yeah,
while you're,
yeah.
over on Instagram. Kryptonite, you can leave that guy alone. He doesn't post too much on there. But if you do feel so inclined, give any of us a follow. And I'm sure this is true for Zach. I'm going to speak for him just because I've heard us say it before. You can reach out to any of us individually if the video in the chat like isn't your thing. If you got questions, you just like want quad homie, just say what up to. Always feel free. I'm always happy to chat individually, and I'm sure these guys are too. So don't hesitate. Appreciate you guys.
yeah,
Thanks for having me on
definitely. Thank you
too.
guys.
By the way,
And will
I
there
want
be
to
any more
Yeah,
vlogs
thanks,
from
Zach.
Shawn and Tom? The answer to that is hell yeah. everybody that watched. I'm sorry if I wasn't very PC in the vlog. I was a little crass with my language. My sister texted me like, "Damn, bro, I didn't know you swore so much." Me and Shawn
Did I
were just
leave?
out cruising. Me and Shawn were just out cruising around, screwing around, having a ton of fun. But we definitely got some more plans to vlog it up, and we're gonna get Zack to come over and meet us up in LA. And yeah, we'll get 3 quads cruising, tearing it up. But yeah, man, definitely expect some more vlogs. We're gonna be working on that soon.
Yeah, no, for sure. And check out, we're back every Tuesday with a new live show. Brianna's first and third Thursday of the month. And actually, I think this Thursday, me and Brianna are gonna do like just a Q&A extra show because we missed one of the women's shows this month. So we're kind of trying to just make it up and hang out with you guys.
Heck yeah.
But all right, thanks for joining, Zack. Again, thank you for joining us, man. We always appreciate you. And
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks, Zack. You're the man, bro.
My
all right,
pleasure.
see you guys all later.